Hello gypsers, it's me Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're looking at the Ebor Miniatures 28mm metal War of the Spanish Succession French Infantry. The Lorraine Regiment, which I believed was named after the Queen Mother. I believe. Really coming up well, are very enjoyable figures to paint. As I say, it's a period of history I like. I like the uniforms. I like all the deep cuffs and the lace and all that type of stuff, you know, and the waistcoats. But I also like the actual history itself, how the shifting alliances and stuff like that, you know, and the actual, obviously the campaigns and the battles as well. But it's even fascinating how 1 minute one country is an ally, then it's an enemy, and then it's an ally again. Nothing really changes, really, does it, in history to modern day? So yeah, Ebor Miniatures have done a cracking job on this range. I'd say they must be about 10 years old now, I think, maybe even slightly older. But they're beautiful figures, and as I say, Paul Hicks has again managed to just capture that. Yes, he might not have had any Pathé news and photographs to work from like he would do on the World War II stuff, but he's got that sense, you know, the officers have a swagger to them, the men have that campaign feel, even in the faces, you know. Obviously he always tries to get a slightly different face type of thing. And then I paint them very slightly differently if I can, you know. Some have stubble on them, some don't. The officers I've given, the main officer on foot, you get, I'm only doing an 18-man regiment, so you get, it's one of those special deals, and you get 2 ensigns carrying the colours, because it's again like the British, they've got 2 colours at that period anyway. The French obviously under Napoleon and all that went to 1, but they still had the 2 then, and you get your commanding officer, then you get a sergeant as well, and 2 drummers. Now the Lorraine Regiment, as you'll see, and if you have seen my other video, they're in the classic French grey. I've gone for like a warm grey tones rather than a cold grey, only because it was undyed, for me anyway, this is my interpretation of it, it was undyed wool or yarn, linen, whatever, but you know, that's what it was. It wasn't dyed, I believe, grey. It was in natural, you know, spun material, and so that's how I looked at some reenactors as well in the States or Canada, because the Lorraine Regiment also, I don't know if the whole regiment went over or if they sent a battalion over, but they were in New France / Canada at the time when we were starting to obviously have our conflicts over there, and finally, you know, Canada became British. You get a couple of Grenadiers in the pack as well. You only need the 2 at the end on your end base. Probably bases 6 to a base. The drummers, the Lorraine, as I say, I've got grey. So I've not been able to find, although I've got an excellent book from Helium Press on the infantry of the period. The French guy who wrote it said there's hardly any written sources at all, really, you know, documentation that's been followed through history, whereas obviously like Napoleonics and even later 7 Years' War, there are more still uniform documents still in archives and stuff. For this time period, there's not a lot at all, so you have to do a bit of interpretation. I'm painting the Lorraine drummers because I should say, if they were, I believe, if they were like the Guard or Royal Regiment, they would have King's livery. If not, they would have like their own regiment, a bit like the British, their own regimental livery. And I'm going for the earliest I could find for colour plates and stuff was around 1750, and this is going up to about, my forces are roughly 1705 to 1715. People are glazing over now, aren't they? But So I've gone for one of those. I don't see why it would be much different, and that is the drummers are going to have red jackets, blue cuffs because they have a blue waistcoat. So the period, I think it's period. I saw one modern artistic interpretation and one that seemed to be a period watercolour, and they had sorry, frog in throat. They had blue cuffs, so it'd be red. The drummers will have red jackets, blue cuffs. I'd have to go looking back to see if I don't know if they probably have blue waistcoats as well, and then they have white lace with blue colours through them. Just thought I'd tell you. So yeah, I've only got 6 to go, and that's four Fusiliers and or musketeers, whatever you want to call them, and two drummers. And I started those. They've got their grey jackets, the one lot. So once I start to do the red cuffs, I'll start on the drummers as well. Again, well, it's not off tangent, is it? But you know what I mean. I'm waffling a bit. So let's quickly go down to the bench. Who am I kidding? Quickly, but we'll go down to the bench and we'll take a look at these figures. Right, Tubesters, here we go with our first officer, an ensign, I would imagine. The colours of the period, or at least with the French, the stuff that the colour is mounted on is quite short. Let's just have a... You know, they're not huge. But yeah, lovely figure. I've not gone for any silver lace around the jacket itself, apart from the rank would normally have a silver on the top of the cuffs. Because I say silver, metal bullion, whatever you want to call it. It's only because it's a regiment that has. If it had brass buttons, then it would have brass. It would have brass for the cuffs and the top of the tricorn hat there. And I painted this in true metallics, obviously, so real metallic, compared to the non-metallic look of the rank and file, because my book says that's what it was. It was a slightly fake look to theirs, and obviously the real stuff. Most of the officers came from top tier, society really. So they could afford the best. But what was happening was the officers were starting to embellish their uniforms, as to be as showy as possible. And I think some point in the midpoint in this War of the Spanish Succession, it was decided. Well, the king said, like, I don't want to see all the extra embellishments. Just keep it to what you're supposed to have, which is the jacket. The cuffs would have their rank on, and they'd also, you can't see it here, that if they're on duty they wear a metal gorget as well, which I've done in the only one you can see is the main officer, and I've done that in the white metal as well. But yeah, I've done the silver around the waistcoat, so I thought they could probably get away with that. Again, a lot for this period is your own interpretation. Again, I've done the same with this guy, as you can say these are junior officers. I gave them all white gloves. I wouldn't be surprised if they had different colour gloves as well, but I just gave them all white gloves. You're not a gentleman if you haven't got your gloves. Oh, and they've normally got a black clasp that holds on the favour at the top, whatever you want to call it, which is obviously for the Bourbon French is white. But I thought officers might well have a metal, silver metal clasp on, and that's what I've done with that. Here's our most senior officer of the bunch. I've stuck a few photographs at the end. I've just noticed on the sergeant as well, on the buttons, I need to put some blue around a couple of the buttons. I've gone over too heavy with the metallic. Gave him a thicker banded look, and I believe Paul had sculpted that on anyway. So I've given I've given him a bit of extra bling, as he's actually the top guy. And you can just see a bit of his like shirt poking out there as well. Here's our sergeant. Obviously he's not got his spittoon. If I can, a halberd, I suppose, in the French service maybe. Again, that's all got to be sorted out yet, but you can't, because they'll be stuck to the base. Right, I always make sure obviously they're glued to the base as well as the hand. Until these are all varnished and then based, you can't really, I've got to work on these and then place them. So there's a giant blue bottle dive bombing us at the moment. I won't go through them all because they're more or less the same apart from the two Grenadiers. I'm not even sure, these are all mixed up from the last lot, so I could be showing you exactly the same as I did last time. He's the size of a Lancaster bomber, this one that's going around. You can probably hear him. But they've really got some character, the faces, you can really do some nice work with them. And these are ones we haven't seen, the two Grenadiers. Here's one, gave him a more senior type look. Obviously Grenadiers, they were seen as superior to the other companies, so they were obviously given a bit more bling. And to be fair, they had to do a lot of the hardest. If you were attacking an enemy fortification, you quite often use the Grenadiers. They'd be grouped up with other Grenadier companies from other battalions to make a Grenadier battalion, and they'd often be used to assault positions with their grenades. And there'll be grenades in that bag there, well, pouch. The old ones that you see, like Felix the Cat with a bomb in his hand, that's the type of grenade that they'd have. Light the fuse and chuck it quickly. You see how this one here I've gone over. You can see a lot more through the camera. What I normally do is put my extra magnification type things on, and before I varnish them, I go through them all, look under that and see where I need to touch paint up and stuff. There you go. I won't get the one, well, that's all we've got. There's only 3 of them, 4 of them, isn't there? So as I say, I'm not sure which ones I've shown you of the rank and file and which ones I haven't. I'm not doing any corporals or anything like that. They tend to have, I believe, the same uniform as the rest of the guys. So yeah, these are all metal figures. Company's Ebor Miniatures, sculpted by Paul Hicks, a freelance sculptor. Check him out online, I'm sure he's open to commissions in his jam-packed diary. Yeah, beautiful work. As in the sculpts and the castings are really nice. Whoever they use for castings done a really nice job. So yeah, that's as far as I've got with these guys. They've got their I've got to go through put the reds on, and then obviously do all these jackets reds with the drummers. So thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. What's coming up? Well, what isn't coming up? We're reaching one of those. As I say, I'm struggling with videos at the moment. The wife's got 10,000 Zoom calls and whatever. We've got really poor broadband, so when she's on, I can't upload videos because it just stops her working. And she's even having to work at night as well now, and I can't even get videos done at night. But as she's the breadwinner, we have to go with the, we do take our licks. Bavarians, I won't get them all, but we've got Bavarians which will be coming up. Not finished yet. I've just stuck together and I'm priming them this afternoon. I've got 6 more to actually do. I've got these guys all that Paul sent me, poles, Napoleonics, tiny bit of filling in there as you can see, put a bit of fill around the, I've just used the Perry bases, so those, and I've also, I thought, why the heck not, while I'm here, I decided to make them Union artillery, and I've just done a crew and one crew and a gun. Still got to do the limber and that, but the only thing I found with these are I couldn't get the crew and the gun on the Grenadier green base that come with the Perrys. You'd have to literally jam them into not particularly realistic type poses, so I might have to dig out my MDF bases and see what I've got there. But yeah, you know, tiny bit of filler in places. That could just be how I've placed the arms. I'm not bagging the Perrys for that. That could well just be where I've placed the arms. But it's not going to hurt anything, you know. But yeah, so they're all going to be a primered, and I just thought if I get one lot primed, if one gun and crew primered, get my first 4 poles primered, there's something I can also have a go at, pick up and have a paint once these guys are these ones here are all completed and out the way. Anything else? So I've got that. I might have an update hopefully on HMS Bristol towards the latter part of the week. That's the one in 700 resin scale ship. I'm putting some varnish on my M10 Achilles in 15mm for Charlie Mac's D-Day group build. Once that's varnished, I went to put a video up yesterday and then realised I hadn't varnished over the decals. So I've only got a couple of tiny ones on there, but they obviously I'd brushed on some gloss to put them on, and it was shining like a good one. So yeah, I'll do that before I do the primer. I'm always a bit scared that I'm going to leave some primer or something ridiculous in the cup and put it, you know what I mean, spray it straight onto it, and then realise I've primed half my tank over it or any other thing I'm working on. So if I'm doing it varnish and a prime or whatever I'm using with the airbrush, the varnish stage always gets done first. I don't want any particles left in the airbrush. So yeah, so we got that. So we got those. Anything else? I'm still got a model to show you that I bought a couple of weeks ago that hasn't. It's just getting time to do videos. There's nothing to show you really. I'm going to have a good go on the beetle, the little die-cast beetle today, and either spend all day and night on it or spend this afternoon. Yeah, be probably because I've got to paint as well. I'm going to spray. I'm going to use my airbrush. So yeah, probably that will be the workbench time today. We'll be doing the little beetle, and then I want to get back on the Mustang and on Tom's second car build, because that's really progressing quite far now. There's not a lot more I've got to do on it. So yeah, thank you very much for stopping by. I'm waffling, but as I say, it's fitting videos in at the moment as and when I can. Oh, and I've got I've got some more painted, only base painted, but at least it's getting there, on the 54mm Napoleonic for Phil Miniatures, his second one. That's at least had a base on that as well, so we're getting closer to that, having a show and tell. And then at some stage once Phil's one's off the bench for my larger scale painting, I'll start work on that 120mm Waffen-SS figure, which will be a great paint, and I might try and do some of that under the camera, who knows. So look after yourselves. If you've managed to make it this far, I wish I could give you all a medal. Unfortunately I can't, but I really do appreciate everybody that's pressed the subscription button and the like button and put a comment down. I know everyone's busy, and it's there's so many people doing videos. People have to be pick and choosy what they watch and that. So if you do manage to get yourself over here and see some of my work, I really do appreciate it. You know, I do this to interact with people. You know, to show my work off as a hobby. You know, I know that this stuff's for sale and that, but that's not what I do it for. I just enjoy sharing the figures, sharing the models. and now the die cast. So now I'm not going to promise, but I don't think I'll be adding anything else to the channel's repertoire, because it really will be just going all over the shop even worse than it is now. So look after yourselves, and we'll catch each other very soon on another video.